In the stillness, we find wisdom.
In reflection, we find growth.
Welcome to Soulful Reflections, conversations for the soul,
and lessons for life.
Whether you're searching for personal growth,
A little inspiration, or finding peace in the chaos.
you have come to the right place.
I'm Katharina,
And I'm Peter Gay,
and together,
we will explore life's beauty.
challenges and everything in between.
Let's begin this beautiful journey. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Soulful Reflections, where we have conversation for the soul and lessons for life. I'm Peter Gay.
I'm Katharina.
And on today's episode, we have a big one.
Okay,
Finding confidence after failure.
that's a big one.
Yeah, that's a big one because, failure can shape us. Failure has a way of shaping us and it can really impact
Mm-hmm.
anyone's confidence.
Yes, definitely.
So,
Definitely.
yeah, let's get into this conversation for today.
All right.
Kathy, have you ever experienced failure that made you doubt yourself?
Yes, I have, PG. I have several times. But
Yes, several times.
yeah,
Hate it.
several times,
Yeah.
because as humans, sometimes you tend to think, what did I do wrong? Like, you try to see, okay, where did it go wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you can project that on you and be like, okay, was it me?
Yeah.
Did I miss something? Like, what was it? At least that's for me. That's my first go-to, trying to just see, okay, where did I go wrong? That's my starting point. And then trying to, just find why
For
did we
sure,
miss the
for
goal?
sure. Why is it customary that people look at failure like,
Mm.
like we start to look at ourselves, question ourselves, doubt ourselves, instead of maybe looking at it like, okay, it's just something that happened and we live, we learn,
Mm.
we move on,
Right.
but then we just doubt ourselves. I wonder like why is that? Like when while preparing for this topic, that was something that
Came to your mind.
came to my mind. You know, it's just like 'cause sometimes things happen in life, not necessarily failure, but
Mm-hmm.
that's just life, man. Keep it moving. But
Right.
when it comes to failure, it's just a thought. I mean, you might not have an answer for it, but it's just a thought. Like why do we then put it?
On ourselves.
Yeah, why do we then put it on ourselves and not just be like, man, that's a part of life, man. We just we learn from this and we move on. But
Mm.
failure can really, really shape our mind, our emotions, and really make us some people like get like really hard on themselves, and they
Mm-hmm.
doubt their potential, doubt their abilities, and even doubt God,
Very true. Very true.
So it's just a
No, that's
little
a really good question, PG. And as you mentioned it, I was
yeah.
really trying to think as to, why many of us might choose to go to ourselves first. I think because
Yeah.
maybe one aspect could be where you may see yourself as the common denominator. Or for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're having an event and you're the one that's hosting the event,
Mm-hmm.
you're the
Mm-hmm.
one
Okay.
that's organizing
Mm-hmm.
everything, putting it together, you're the brainchild behind of
Mm-hmm.
it and everything. For me, I would see it coming natural where you look at yourself first. You might look at yourself and be like, boy, probably was it the right time? Um, did I choose to get the word out there more, advertise it more? At least that might be the first thing
Mm-hmm.
because it falls back on you. If it's successful, people
Right.
might be like, boy, Patty, a PG, that was a really good event. That was a success. And then again, if it doesn't come out really well, people might not see the different moving parts that you have behind of
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say, for example, if your name is on a flyer and it's like
Mm-hmm.
hosted by etc., automatically, whether it's a success or failure, they're gonna be like, boy, PG had this event and it didn't have a good turnout or it didn't have enough food or etc is the case. So I'm thinking that could be like part of it because it the buck stops with you as the
Mhm.
individual who's
Mhm.
the planner of it.
Mhm.
It doesn't necessarily mean that it's your fault.
Mhm.
You know, it could be something that was
Just
beyond your control.
right.
But then that might be the first place you look to be like, okay, probably what did I miss? And probably as you start to go through everything, you'll realize really and truly it wasn't your fault,
Mhm.
perhaps.
Mhm.
Probably maybe somebody else that was in control of
Mhm. Mhm.
promotion
Right, right, right.
didn't execute as they should, you know, et cetera is the case. That's just my initial thoughts on it. But what's yours?
Well, using that same example, like
Mhm.
event, like an event planning.
Right.
I mean, I wonder, like, because
Mhm.
you can have make an analysis of the event to
Right.
know what went well, what went wrong, and then
Mhm.
you look forward to improve or make
Right.
little tweaks to improve the event. So an analysis is
Mhm.
one thing,
Mhm.
right? Like looking like, okay, could I do word of mouth more, da da da. But
Mhm.
really putting that on you
Mhm.
instead of like, wow, I did my first event and okay, it
Mhm.
didn't meet my expectations, but I did my first event. Yes, certain things can be better, but I put on this first event, versus so why is it that our mind or our emotions don't allow us to kind of like go to that place first versus thinking no, it versus now like
Mhm.
I failed, this event wasn't successful, like
Right.
that type of self-talk. So not necessarily the analysis of it to be better, which
Mhm.
is normal, I
Mhm.
believe. But, like putting that on, like, oh my God, I failed. This event didn't turn out good. And
I think
like,
before the analysis,
I think,
that's your initial thoughts to before the
mm-hmm,
analysis, because then it's like that's the first question that may come up.
mm-hmm,
It might be like that for some people, but then for other people, they might have a different perspective. Like you said, they might be like, "Hey, you know what? It was my first event.
mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm,
know I'm growing, I'm improving."
mm-hmm,
So that's probably another perspective avenue as well. But like you mentioned with analysis, some people might choose to go to analysis first,
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
some others might just be like, "Hey, you know what? I really think I dropped the ball in that area," being hard on themselves too as well. Because you have some people that are really high achievers. Some
yeah.
people that are really, really high achievers, and if it doesn't come out as planned, it's like, "Oh, man." Even if it's just a slight miss or whatever, it's like, "Oh, man, this is not really what I wanted it to be," et cetera, versus somebody else, they might look at it, they might be in the same space, and they might be like, "But you did well, think of it from this angle." Because I've had that sometimes where individuals might be like, "But no, think of it this way. You actually got the support of XYZ. You got this to come out. You got this." So I think sometimes it could be that perspective, or like the different, who's in it
Mm-hmm,
might
mm-hmm.
see it differently too.
So,
Mhm.
so perspective, that could be,
That could be one.
that could be something I think that contributes to us feeling like failures if
Right.
something don't work out.
Mhm.
And then oh God, I just had the train of thought there. Oh
Right.
yes, okay. Could it be to like our self-talk, you wanna say?
Mhm.
Self-talk or whatever, if we're unsuccessful in something or it didn't
Yeah.
turn out the way we anticipated, you
Mhm.
know, deeming it a failure or our negative self-talk, because we're talking about
Yeah,
failure.
yeah.
Could that be something that we learn or culture?
Hmm.
Thinking about it. No, this is piggybacking off
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
said
yeah,
about
yeah.
perspective and so on, and the way
Right.
because you can train your mind, like
Mhm.
how to look at things. And sometimes
True.
that is learned, what's the word? Learned,
Behavior, I learned,
no, like it's not really something that's taught, like they would
okay.
tell you, but you just learn it growing
Right.
up. That's the way you see your parents deal with
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
that type of stuff. Like, like I just wonder it. I mean, I know
Hmm.
we have our questions, but the conversation just really
No, that's fine, that's
have
fine.
me thinking.
What's your thoughts on that one?
I think to an extent, yes. In terms of we learn it based
Mm.
on what we see growing up to an extent. Not
Okay.
it's
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
fully
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that it's not that's not the full scope of maybe why we look
Okay.
at things like that. Like you rightfully said, some people are high achievers, etc.
Mhm.
But could it be that, like your upbringing? Using a classic example,
Right, right.
you get, you're going to school, you're growing up, fail, or fail based, you didn't meet the criteria,
Mhm.
to that the school determined to be a pass mark. And,
True.
your parents maybe say certain things to you,
Mhm.
like, "What's wrong with you? What can you,
Yeah,
da, 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 you're
yeah.
dumb, you're stupid." Some parents do say those
Yes,
things.
that is true.
So could that be like, in those, or like you're playing a game and then you lose and people like laugh after you, like, "Ah," you know how it is,
Yeah.
especially in the Caribbean, it can be like that, and especially for boys,
Right.
So, it just taking me back a little bit, wondering. So I think like it's kind of learned subconsciously. Like it's not an intentional
Right,
thing that
right,
is
right.
being taught, but culture,
That's a good one too.
like,
That's
like we kind of learn it as we go along. And then it's like,
like
if
the
you know,
expectations. You know, the expectation that is set. So if you're not
yes,
meeting that expectation,
girl, come on now.
and the thing is, what could be deemed for you as failure for somebody else might
Eat,
not, they might not see it
come on
as
now.
failure. You know,
That's
but
what I
like you
said.
rightfully said, that
Eat.
expectations that are set,
Yes.
you know, from growing up actually can play a role. And sometimes we might not even realize it until we sit back and be like, but hey, is this really and truly something that has failed? Like, let me outline everything on
Yeah.
paper and look at it and be like, did I really like fail? Okay, what was my objective?
Hmm.
Did I meet the overall objective? I might not have been able to meet it the way
Right.
that I planned and was hoping, but did I meet the objective at the end of the day? You know, so I like what you said there.
Yeah, because like, and we kind of we already kind of ventured into what was going to be the next question about
Right.
what thoughts follow when things don't go as planned.
Mm, mhm, mhm, mhm.
And we kind of touched on it briefly, like, that self-talk, that internal
Yeah.
self-talk. But I mean, there's the external talks as well from other people, like you use in your
Mhm.
example of the event plan, and then people gonna be like, "Oh, that was kitty thing or catty thing." So that can also
Clear rule.
play a role in,
I agree.
in our thoughts and how we start to feel about ourselves.
Mhm.
But I mean, there are some things that are technical, yes, like you're
Yeah.
going to get your driving license. There's a criteria. You pass or you fail, you get your license, you don't get a license, right? So
Right.
there are those things
It's
that
black
are
or white.
right. It's
Yeah.
black or white, it's
Right.
measurable,
Mhm.
right? But then in the nuances of life, in the rhythm and flow of life, not everything is kind of like black or white.
True.
So it's like,
True.
who then
Determines.
determines that that was a failure?
Mm.
I'm
That
like,
is true.
I'm feeling very, is the word philosophical at the moment? Is that the word? I don't know, but very,
And then it's like, okay, so what is failure?
yeah. Like, what is failure? That was going to be my, like, what is failure? Like, as in a definition, you know?
Mhm.
Because, like I said, some things, yes, there's black and white. It's technical, and yes, you pass, you fail, you get it or you don't get it, But just in the rhythm and flows of life, the experiences of life, like, who says it was a failure? How about maybe if we look at it like it's a learning experience,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What is failure for you though, PG? So that we, just know where we are with the definition of failure. What is failure for you though?
I don't have a Webster's dictionary definition.
No, what is it to PG?
No, I know. That's what I was gonna be like, I don't have a Webster's
Yeah.
dictionary definition, but I have a PG definitely. Well, yeah, some kind of definition. But it's just really if you haven't met expectations,
Mhm.
maybe your own expectations that you set on yourself, right? Like measurable expectations, or that you
Mhm.
deem, right, that you haven't met expectations or a criteria.
Right.
Just using it in a general term. If you haven't met expectations or criteria, those for yourself or those of others, because sometimes we want to be deemed
Mhm.
not a failure or successful, also because of what others may say
Right.
to us. So I would say not meeting expectations or a particular criteria. That's my definition. It's nowhere on the internet. Only at Soulful Reflections you'll get a definition. And
Yeah.
how would you
Yeah.
describe failure?
I would describe it very similar along the lines that you have mentioned. Once there is an objective that is set, a target
Mm-hmm.
that is set, if that has not, been
Right. I
met
like that word.
overall.
Target. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it has
Yeah.
not been met,
Right.
at least for me, it's like, okay, I've fall short.
Yeah.
Put it that way, the word failure can seem harsh sometimes.
Yeah. I like that word. Fall short. Mm-hmm.
Fall short,
Mm-hmm.
fall short, fall short.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it, besides the cut and dry, like you say, criteria that is set by
Right.
society,
Right.
like this is what you need to get for your passing
Like,
grade.
not because I ain't pass the driving test, mean I can't drive.
No,
I'm just saying.
you
Give me my
pass.
license.
If you pass, you
Give me
fall
my
short.
license.
So you just gotta try again. You know?
Right. True. True.
That's a
True.
nice way to put it.
I like that. Oh, fall short. I like that. Fall short. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little less harsh.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of feels just the feeling itself that it gives to me as the individual. It's like, okay, you just fall short. You just fall a little below the mark this time.
Yeah, because that's how like people would ask, like, like when people say, I want to be successful at this, and then they would ask, what is success to you? Because success
To everybody.
to everyone is
Different.
different. It just means achieving or attaining to something, that
Mm-hmm.
a goal that you maybe set for yourself. So success for me might not
Mm-hmm.
be
Exactly.
success for you,
Very
you
true.
know? And as the topic states, like
Mm-hmm.
finding confidence after failure,
Right.
which implies that failure or falling short can impact
Your confidence.
our confidence. And like I said in the opening, like failure
Mm-hmm.
can shape us,
Right.
like failure has a way of, Lord, yes, failure has a way of shaping us. So, Kathy, do you find it
Mm-hmm.
hard or easy to try again? Or do you hesitate after you have fell short or after failure? See, another topic is, finding
Right.
confidence after failure.
Exactly.
You find it hard to, like, bounce back and be like, dust yourself off, get up, try again after you.
I think it might depend on the situation
Hmm. Hmm.
just a bit. Depend on what it was. It
Hmm.
may take a little bit longer
Hmm.
for you to get back on that horse and keep going again. Because let's say, for example, if it was a financial one that really and truly hits
Yeah.
you hard, you might be like, boy, you know what? I don't ever want to try this again. I don't ever want to go down that road again. So you're going to definitely hesitate. And
Hmm.
probably in your books, you're going to say, no, no, depending
Yes,
how much
yes.
of a risk taker you are, you know?
It depends on the impact that it had on you.
Yeah, exactly. Like if it really,
Yeah.
truly took you to the ringer,
Yeah. Yeah.
you might be like, this was a pretty bad one. I want to tread down that line. But it
Yeah.
can be something else a little bit less harsh. Let's say, for
Yeah.
example, if it's an event that it's your first time that you're doing it, you might want to say, you know what, let me go back to the drawing board. Let me come back and try it again at another time.
Yeah,
So your
that's true.
confidence isn't hit too hard.
That's true.
So
That's
I
true.
think it depends on
The impact.
the impact, yeah, of
How
the
how easy or
situation.
hard it would be for you
Yeah.
to get back up again.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And for you, PG?
I agree. I agree with that for sure. I
Okay.
am someone that I like security,
Mm,
safety. Yeah, yeah. I like the known. I don't like the unknown. I believe I said this in one of the episodes in season one. I like the known. I don't like the unknown.
right.
And of course, so I like easy also, to be honest. I
Oh,
don't like I don't
you don't
like
like a challenge?
no,
Okay.
no, I don't. If I'm being frank, I don't.
Okay.
Right? But hey, life is filled with challenges. Hallelujah. But but like you
Hmm.
said, so life is filled with I don't like
Yeah,
it, but it comes, you have to
it
face it.
comes with it. It comes with a
And
package.
yes, there's some goals or aspirations or expectations you have for yourself. And yes, I agree with you 100%. It depends on the
Mm-hmm.
impact that it has, that will make it easy or not to try again. If I may share a story, a
Go ahead.
personal story. A few years ago, maybe even more than 10 years now,
Hmm.
I was working, not working, I was doing a qualification course, for the job. And
Okay.
I remember I started out with one institution first, started out with one institution, and that wasn't going good. And then I failed it like twice. And I was like, oh, God, Jesus. But I mean, at this time, married children, young children, hello.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then I picked up yeah, I did about two exams the first time, failed. And this is now in order to help me attain to higher heights, so to speak, in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
professional sphere.
Right.
Right. And then I shifted now to another institution with a different format, a little different setup to the exam, and then fail again.
I know how that feels.
Listen, that shooketh me.
Mm,
Shooketh me. Okay. I've, that shook my confidence
right.
because, I usually do good in school,
No,
right? Never repeated, nothing against anyone that repeated, but just saying,
I
like you
know what
coming
you
from
mean.
never repeat, you do good in school, pretty decent. I'm not super, never get like super all
Yeah,
A's and
yeah,
all of
yeah.
that, but pretty decent average student. And listen, that shooketh me. And then, of course, then I was wondering what are my managers thinking? Like, because it was to attain to a particular position,
Right, right.
right? They were like preparing me. I was gonna say grooming, but grooming have a bad connotation these days. But they were preparing me for a particular role, so I needed this qualification,
Mm.
right? And the company was paying for it too. So,
Mm.
yeah, and studying late nights, having to wake up 3 o'clock in the morning because I need to,
Yeah, yeah.
and that shook it. And there was some comments that were made, you know, by peers. And it really, I was ready to like give up. I was ready to like, no, like, I started to question my intelligence. I did. I was like, what is going on?
Mhm, mhm.
What is going on? Like, why I can't pass?
Right.
What, first of all, should I even continue, doing this? So it can definitely shape you. And sometimes the outside noises can,
Oh, yeah.
definitely impact and influence to your self-talk
I
after
agree.
when you fall short.
And like you say, it can definitely shape you. It can shape you both ways. It can shape you where it can break your confidence
Mhm.
or it can build your
That's true.
confidence. And I'm gonna tell you about one experience that helped to build my confidence.
Mm-hmm. Let's go.
Going back to the same example of school,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
Here it is. I'm getting ready to enter into my grad school.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But before you enter into grad school, there's like this test that they need you to take, right?
Like
And
a matriculation type thing.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
some type of test. I can't
Mm-hmm.
exactly
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
remember
Mm-hmm.
why you have to take tests when you
Mm-hmm.
already done have an undergrad. Like,
Right,
should
right,
that diploma substantiate
right,
you just
right.
moving on? But anyways, this is
Beauty
it.
and brains, y'all. Beauty and brains.
PG.
Katharina. Go
Let's
ahead.
let's let's stick to what's at hand. But thank you. Um, so here it is. Have this exam coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, you know what? I gotta be able to sit this exam
Uh-huh.
because that's what's gonna hinge on me getting,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
at
Into
least
the
as far
program.
as I
Mm-hmm.
thought that I know.
Mm-hmm.
Why, PG? Like you too as well. Grades are pretty good at school.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Pretty good at school.
Yeah.
Take this thing the first time,
Uh-huh.
I see I missed it by some points.
Mm-hmm.
Say, what? I was like, because I was so confident
Right,
that I
right,
pass
right,
it,
right,
right?
right.
I was like, what? No, man. So I take a few days, a few days away from it.
Mhm, mhm.
Truth be told, I did not go back in the book to revise
Right.
or look at what was there. So part of it was me being unprepared
Yeah,
for
yeah,
it.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I went back the second time again,
Uh-huh.
took this test, see that I failed
Again?
again.
Mm. Sorry, I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing with you.
But the thing is, just like you said, you gotta pay money for this, but this is not company money. This is our pocket money. I said, what? Come back again for the third time.
Mhm. 3 times a charm.
No, no, no. This time, three times a charm did not work.
Oh, yeah.
PG? And it didn't break my confidence. Like
Mhm,
each time I failed,
mhm.
it didn't break my
Mm,
confidence.
that's good.
What I went to, I was like, oh no, I'm gonna email this school. something ain't right, something ain't right.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
I went ahead, emailed the school, yada yada, tell them about, the situation and plead my case with them.
Mhm, mhm.
And I found favor with the Lord. You know?
Glory.
But going back to the matter at hand, sometimes it can also help to build your
Yeah,
confidence. Depends on what it is
for
that
sure,
you are
for sure, for
striving
sure,
towards. It's like I gotta get this.
for sure, for
I
sure.
gotta get this. I gotta come back at it again because I need this if I want to be in XYZ position.
Mhm,
So I'm gonna try again. You may have the confidence to try again 2, 3
mhm,
times. I know how much times, after that, but
mhm.
can actually help to build your confidence to an extent, depending on the
No,
situation.
definitely. But you brought up a very good point. So just as it
Mm,
can impact our confidence,
yeah.
both in a negative and a
Right.
positive way, so it can create fear of trying again
Mm-hmm.
because you don't even want to, because failure or falling short brings on a certain feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody, well, I don't know nobody that likes to feel a certain or feel bad,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so that brings on a type of feeling, and it can also lower your self belief
Mm-hmm.
in your god-given abilities.
Mm-hmm.
You can start to doubt yourself, which I did when
Of course.
in my particular experience. It can cause you to overthink and create more self-doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But it can also build some
Yes.
stamina, some
Stamina, resilience,
resilience,
exactly. Resilience. Yeah.
and it can build your confidence as well,
Mm-hmm.
because I see.
Determination.
Right,
Yeah, the
right, that,
determination to
right,
prove,
right,
to even
right,
you understand? Prove
right.
that no, I know this for a fact. No,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Because I mean, it build up your confidence too, right? To the school.
Yes, yes, I was
Because you're
not
like,
letting it go. Nope. Mm-mm.
because it was like, no, I know I can pass this. Something is
Exactly. I
wrong,
was
maybe with
like,
your grading system. So,
oh yeah,
no,
oh
but
yeah.
that's true. That is so true. It can really, really boost your confidence and build up that grit,
Mm-hmm.
that push through
Yeah.
spirit.
And that helps, just helps to build your character
Correct.
overall
Oh,
too. You
for
understand? It
sure.
it helps to build it. So when the next case comes
For
around,
sure.
it's like, all right,
You're
that
better
feeling that you
able.
describe, I may not have that same feeling this time, even if I don't
Mm-hmm.
obtain it, but I
Mm-hmm.
may not feel that same way this time
Right, right, right.
because I may have a different perspective this time
Correct.
around.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Correct. Because I mean, when you even look at the good book, the Bible, there are a lot of people that we would say, quote unquote, by culture standards or whatever,
That
or
is.
even godly standards,
Hmm.
didn't meet the mark, you know.
Oh, tons of them.
Tons. Look,
And
maybe
they were people that loved the law too as well.
exactly,
There were tons
maybe
of them.
everybody that I've read about.
Hmm.
But God still used them, and in some situations, He used even
Yes.
their failures
Yes. Yes.
to
Great point.
to
Hmm.
to 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 do something
Yep.
great.
Hmm.
So it comes down to the question, like I say, go back to, is it really a failure? You know what I'm saying? And especially that in the hands of the Lord, He can do mighty
Use everything.
things
Yep. Yep.
with these setbacks, fall short,
Yes. Yeah.
and failures.
I agree.
So how do you think failure, so like in faith,
Hmm.
using the whole faith aspect and God, like failure, or what we deem as failure, it doesn't disqualify us.
No,
It doesn't
it
disqualify
doesn't.
us,
It
right?
doesn't. It
And
doesn't.
going back to what you said, like it helps to develop us actually.
Hmm.
It helps to develop us to even be, because sometimes after you fail or something didn't go right, you get more wisdom. You
Yes.
learn, like you use
Yes.
the same financial example that you use. Like,
Yeah.
you try something and it didn't work out, it hit you hard, but then no, okay, you might not try that again, but then no, you might end up, there
Something
might be some
else.
principles that you
Yes.
learn that now maybe make you a better steward
That
of
is true.
the finances,
I
so it's
agree.
like
I
nothing
agree.
is wasted in
That
God's
I
hands.
agree.
Like the scriptures say, all things work together for good for those that love the Lord. All things, so including the failures
Including the failures.
and the fallen shots. You know, but Brings me to a question though.
Okay.
Brings me to a question. Is it really failure for falling short? Or could it be like God redirecting us?
I was gonna mention something along the same line.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Or sometimes it's just like a flat out failure. And well, even if you learn from it, that could be a redirection too.
True, true, true. You know, I think or I believe
Mm-hmm.
sometimes our falling short or our
Mm-hmm.
failures, like you said, we'll use the word failures, um, can be just blatantly outright failure for, let's say, for example, probably your disobedience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
your disobedience, or let's say, for example, your unpreparedness, or, these different things
Yeah. Yeah,
can
yeah,
be
yeah.
just really and truly um us on our end not really doing our part, I would say, per se. But then really like the question that you asked, because then it can really be God
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
redirecting you when you're thinking that it's a failure, but He's actually just saving you from what is to come if you continued along whatever direction or path that you were going on.
Or he just want you to do something different. It's not even
True.
something bad that he was gonna save you from.
That is true.
Because I know the story, well, you know the family, the Evans,
Mm-hmm.
and I know like the son Jonathan,
Yeah.
he wanted to play football. I think he got injured or something,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And that's how he was redirected now. I know he's like a pastor
Pastor.
preaching the word.
Yeah,
And I
he's
think something
pastor.
similar happened
Mm-hmm.
to Tony as well, because the father,
Yes,
Dr.
yes,
Tony
yes.
Evans, he was also into sports and I think wanted
Mm-hmm.
to play sports. But then, so Jonathan was like upset,
Yeah.
right? Because I think he got like scholarships and stuff like that, right? But then
Mm-hmm.
he got injured and then,
Mm-hmm.
he got upset with God and sports is not bad.
No, it's not. It's
Sports
no,
is
not.
not bad.
Oh, it's not.
I
It's
mean,
not. No.
and you could make that
Yeah,
l'argent,
definitely,
you know,
definitely.
and able to provide for your family and those type of stuff. And, you'll have a wider audience also to spread the gospel as well. But
Yes,
so it
yes.
wasn't bad.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But then no, he thought it was maybe a failure and that he didn't live up to what he wanted
Yeah,
and
yeah,
getting all the
yeah.
scholarships. But then no.
I like that example.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. So it
Redirecting.
just so it don't have to be anything like he's protecting you, but just maybe just have a different path.
That is very true. I like that. That is true.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
he works like that. God
Yeah,
works
that's
like that,
how
That's how he
mm.
works. So it's always about, God, what is your will? Let your will be done. Like if it's this way or not, if it's the other way, just let your will be done.
But would you say failure is
Mm.
important in life? Like we need to fall short sometimes. Like we need to fail sometimes. Do you think it's a necessity? And even though it might impact your
Mhm.
confidence in a negative way,
Mhm.
but do you think that it's a part of life that we need to go through? Like we need it
Mhm.
as human beings.
What do you think, PG? You go first
I think so. Just dropped on me now. Like
Yes.
I'm like, it's just part of life's journey. And like you rightfully said, it can really, really build character and make you learn. That's like how people learn though, is after like something didn't work out. And that's how rules are
Exactly.
formed.
Exactly.
Rules and guidelines is like, okay, this didn't work and so on and so on. So I think, yeah, I don't like it,
No,
but
not at
it's
all.
necessary.
And I agree with you too as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah.
Like, having those moments where we miss the mark,
Mm-hmm.
where we fall short, that they're important in our lives, and they help to really and truly build character, teach us lessons that if we always got it right all the time, that we may not know. And as I mentioned that, I'll mention this too as well, taking it back to our biblical principle, right? We as individuals, We fall short all the time.
Mhm, mhm,
But what helps to keep us grounded and not have us become our
mhm.
own little gods is
Mm,
that
that's why I'm laughing.
when we fall short, we realize we need to depend on the big G God, like the one who is all sovereign,
Correct,
who's our
correct,
creator.
correct.
So it helps us to remain
Mhm.
humble in that
That's
way.
the word. That's why I was laughing.
Yeah, it helps us to remain humble, to know our place. Because imagine if we always got it right and we
Mhm,
were
mhm, mhm.
self-dependent, that we would not
Girl,
need someone
the
else.
level of pride,
What? Nobody could step in our
the
room.
level of ego.
Nobody would be able to step near us, and we would feel like, okay, you know what? Everything is in our control. Like we have it all together. Nobody will be
No,
able to
no,
tell
no,
us
for real.
anything. But when it comes to realizing that we really and truly are
Yeah,
gonna be falling
yeah.
short, it really keeps us in check to know that I need to depend on my creator, depend on that higher power, depend on God.
Exactly. That's why I was laughing because the thought come to mind. I was like, some of us need to get humbled. So sometimes a little failure is good because there are some people that with some huge egos and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of pride. And then so some of us, yeah, we need to fall flat on our face.
Yeah,
And that is
yeah,
needed.
yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, of course, for people who are also humble, it is needed. But I'm just saying, like sometimes it's necessary, just like you rightfully say, to realize that you're not that
Yeah,
bag of chips,
yeah,
you need
yeah.
to be reminded. And sometimes not even try to be little God, be like little gods, but then we
Mm-hmm.
think we're so much better and up here than people, other folks,
Yeah.
and we belittle people. And yeah, so some of us need a nice humble pie, hot humble pie sometimes. So
And you know those areas, PG, sometimes you look at the big the big areas of failure, that really can be like, huh.
mhm.
But when you also think of failure, we can fail our own health. You know, those little small stuff that we don't think
Fail
about.
ourselves.
Yeah, we fail ourselves when we don't, practice that self-care, practice having that
You're
maintaining
right.
that good health
Yes.
and these other little areas
Yeah, like
too,
we can fail or legit fail ourselves by not taking care of ourselves.
Right.
And
Mhm.
health is a big one.
Mhm.
That is so true.
Mhm.
That is
Yeah.
so true. That is so true. Mm. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah. And even in those moments, tying it into what you mentioned
Mhm.
about, it being
Yeah, no. No, mine is going with that. Like what?
odd, even in those, what you mentioned just now about God being able to redirect us, in those moments where we see or deem failure, what if, besides God redirecting us,
Mm-hmm.
what if God is still working, even when we think He's not working things out for our good? How would that play into moments where, our perspective can be gazed and looked at from that angle? Like seeing it where it's not a total loss, but knowing that God is still working, even when it didn't work.
There's a song. They have a song like that. Even when it don't seem like he's working,
Working.
he's working. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, first of all, to even believe that he's still working, you gotta know him first, right? Which
Mhm.
meaning knowing his character, knowing his promises, knowing what he says in his word. You gotta first know that first of all,
Mhm.
because yes, we're human beings. We're gonna feel like, God, what is going on?
Yeah.
Hashtag, I have those moments a lot. God, what going on?
Mm.
But then when you remember that he never changes, you can trust him. He's the good, good father and all those type of stuff. Then you start to like, yes. So you might have a little pity party.
Yes,
You
yes.
might have a little pity party, but Then after, shed a few tears, and then after now, you start to but like I said, you gotta know first.
Mm, mm,
Then you start to remind yourself, like,
mhm.
okay, God, me not understand what's going on here, but I gonna trust you. You've never leave me nor forsaken me. And then, you may even remember past situations where things didn't work out, and then he still come
Yes,
true and he used
yes.
it in a different way. So,
Mhm, mhm.
like that, I would say. So you'd have to know who he is,
Yeah.
because it's like if I know you're dependable, I'm just gonna be like, no man, Catty, no man, Catty, go, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like that.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
may have a moment, a little doubt may creep in and a little frustration, but then once you know who he is, then you start to remind yourself, and then you remind yourself of past experiences where he did come through for you.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
No, I agree, PJ. Like you rightfully said,
Hmm.
remembering past
Yeah.
moments, remembering
Yeah.
that remembering. Because
Hmm.
sometimes you may know the scriptures, but that scripture may not come to you at that right moment in time. But when you sit and you say, you know what, God, I remember so and so and so when you did XYZ, and I
Hmm.
saw what you did then,
Hmm.
and I gotta be able to trust you
Hmm.
even right now.
Hmm. Hmm.
That you
Correct.
would that you would do it. So I agree with you. I agree with
Correct. I listen to some worship
you.
songs that are Christ centered, that really speaks about who he is and
Mm.
all those stuff. Those stuff, well, personally,
Yes,
I
yes,
mean, this ain't
yes.
no doctor prescription here, but that's like personally what has helped
No,
me
of course.
when you're going
Likewise.
through low moments and your faith is being tested and you're questioning God. Like, when I listen to certain songs that reminds me
Mm.
of who he is, that
Mhm,
helps.
mhm,
That
mhm,
helps as well. That helps as well. But backing up a little, Kathy, like we
mhm.
mentioned that how failure failure can shape us and impact our confidence, right?
Yeah.
How can we begin to rebuild one's confidence if it was on the negative side, that it impacted it more on the negative side?
Mhm.
How do you think one can rebuild their confidence?
Ooh, let me take a sip.
Take a sip. Yeah, because that's important. Because there would be some that, it
Of
really
course, of
impact
course.
negatively, and then they will have a warm time
Mhm.
to rebuild that confidence and to try again, or, you know, try in a different way.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
You know, first and foremost, I would say give yourself that space first.
Mm-hmm.
Don't feel like you have to get back at it anytime soon, depending on what that
Right,
situation
right,
may
right,
be
right, right.
like for you, how sensitive it is to time, you know, things like that to consider. But if there's no sensitivity to time,
Mm-hmm.
I would say first and foremost, at least just based on my experience or
Mm-hmm.
what I have seen
Mm-hmm.
individuals in
Mm-hmm.
my circle have done is take the time first to feel what you got to be able to feel,
Right.
you know,
Process.
process,
Mm-hmm.
process. Um, I think what also helps is if you have a really good circle around you of people who know you, that they can be able to speak life into
Right.
you.
Yep.
Let you
Yep.
know,
Yep. Yep.
what your value is not diminished based on this, no matter how you see it. Like, be able, because sometimes, like you rightfully said, you may be low, but if you have that good community around you, if you have one, I would say
If
that's
I
a good
may,
one. Go ahead.
sticking a pin,
Mhm.
I think that's one of the main issues right there. Is
Mm,
that we place, and I say we because hashtag guilty,
okay.
work in progress. Like we place our value
Mhm.
on the things we attain.
Yes, that is true.
We place our value on what we attain, whether it is known to
Mhm.
man or not.
Mhm.
Like we place our value on, you know, and we keep forgetting that you are enough just as you are right
Yeah.
then and there, whether you get that degree or not. You are enough. I am enough right here, right now in this space. If I
Right.
want to get my master's, I am enough without my master's.
Mhm.
So I think that's like something that we have to unlearn is
Yeah.
like we just like people place their value on their assets and think money and whatever they own,
Mhm.
like that's one part, but we place our value, like we think we're more valuable if we obtain
Achieve. Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
achieve this. Continue. I just wanted to stick that pin
No,
there. Boom.
Excellent point
Yeah.
to stick a pin in, PG. Great point. And yes, our value, like you said, to know that our value is not just hinged on
Like what we
all that
do.
we attain.
Yeah.
You understand? But when you know your identity, when you know your purpose, when you know who
Yeah.
you are, so having individuals around you in your circle to
Mhm.
validate that for you and speak
Mhm.
life to you into those
Mhm.
moments
Mhm.
is really and truly key. I think too as
Remind you
well.
of who you are.
Yeah,
Remind
remind
you of
you of
your
who you
worth
are.
as well.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I think another aspect too as well that can be truly helpful is, let's say for example, finding that courage,
Mhm.
that inner motivation, even if it's small. You
Mhm.
don't have to
Mhm.
be like huge where you say, you know what, let me go ahead
Correct.
and
Correct.
sign up for XYZ
So
one time and let me no. But if you take those baby steps
baby
and be
steps.
like, okay, you know what? Let me just sit with the drawing board if I'm feeling better now in that
Mhm.
space
Mhm.
that I could
Mhm.
really and truly be able to face it,
Mhm.
whatever it may be, and just do that process of elimination probably. Even if you maybe have a buddy that is there with you too as well, that you want to journey with you this next time around. Sometimes we don't value the wisdom that is in our circle because we feel that we are
Mm.
bad all by ourselves.
Mm.
But sometimes God send people along our way to be our helpers. So we can
Facts.
also, if you see that one person that's there that's willing to help you this next time, I would say don't shun their help and assistance.
Yeah.
They may
Mhm.
not be able to go with you for the full distance,
Yeah. Yeah.
but for whatever little pearl that you could
Right.
take
Right.
into
Right.
the next step, I would say that's a good one too, as well. If you have somebody that comes alongside you
Mhm.
to value that so that you can probably see, okay, where you can tighten up or where it may have been
Mhm.
missed or falling short. And you take those little baby steps. Sometimes even in that process, society, the different persons may still be speaking and saying stuff,
Society.
but
Society.
sometimes you gotta self-talk. Talk to
Yeah.
yourself too
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Encourage
Yeah.
yourself too as
Yeah.
well. Stand
Yeah.
in front of that mirror and
I do that.
oh yeah, I had to do
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Like I remember while I was away in
I do
college too
that.
as well. And my mom, she would hear me on the phone and she's like, you gotta encourage yourself. Like you gotta speak to yourself
Mhm.
sometimes. Speak to
Mhm.
yourself.
Mhm.
Remind yourself, of these things. So for me, that was what I would say a couple ways that, you can start gradually to get back into it, per se. But what are some things that you have, PG?
No, I agree wholeheartedly with the
Mm-hmm.
things that you just said.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say also it's a process. Take your time.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just rush into onto the next,
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yeah, take your time.
Yeah.
Take your time, So yeah, that was a good, and the good thing is that some people, like you mentioned, community,
Mm-hmm.
they some people can pull out your
Yep.
potential or remind you and really pull out what's in there. So yeah, this was a good conversation.
And just to add, leaning into your faith as well.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. For sure, for sure.
Allowing, like, just
For
exercise
sure.
that faith muscle
For
a
sure.
bit,
For sure.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure.
pray
For
about
sure.
all things.
Yeah, I agree, agree, agree. Well, that was a good conversation, Kathy. I enjoyed this conversation a lot. Finding
Or confidence
confidence after
after
failure,
failure,
or what was the word? What was the other word they used?
falling short.
Falling short, falling short. You
Mhm,
know?
mhm.
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap up this episode now and we're gonna go into our soulful seed.
Right, right, right.
Are you gonna read it? Am I gonna read it?
Sure, I can read it.
Yeah, go ahead, girl. Go ahead. Take us out.
Sure. So today's soulful seed,
Mm-hmm.
it says,
Mm-hmm.
failure has a voice. And if you listen closely,
Mm-hmm.
it will try to convince you that you're not enough, that you miss your moment, that you should stop trying. But failure was never meant to define you, only to refine you.
Mm-hmm.
Because confidence is not built in moments where everything goes right, It's built in moments where you fall and still choose to rise again. You are not disqualified by what didn't work. You are being shaped by it. God is not finished with you. Your story is still
Keep it flowing.
unfolding.
Mm-hmm.
And this moment, it's not your ending, it's your becoming.
I love that.
I love it too, PG. I had to take my time
Yes.
and let the
You
words
read it so soulful.
marinate
Yes. No.
because it really spoke to me as
Yes.
well. It really did.
Especially the part about not meaning to define
Define you, but
you.
refine you. I know you don't like the word refine too
I know.
much, PG, but
It's a song I don't like, not necessarily.
I know, I know, I know, I
You
know.
know, and also about you're not disqualified by
Right.
what didn't work, goes back to what we said earlier about,
Right.
placing our value on certain things, what we achieve or we
Yes,
attain,
yes, yes.
but you are enough just as you are in whatever space, in whatever moment you are
Mhm.
now. You
Are
are enough.
enough.
Yeah, and that's it for
Today's
this
episode.
episode. Yes. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Until next
Next time,
time.
stay soulful.
Bye.
Thank you for sharing this space with us.
If today's reflection resonated with you, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Until next time,
Keep nurturing your soul.
and keep planting seeds of wisdom and love.